don't pre-click. You're well, hold on. You're in the stage of pre-click to where like you can almost put them together, but like you can't click them until New Warriors come out to play. Oh, I don't have this. Well, yeah, I do have the script up. I would be lying. I would be lying to the people watching if I said I didn't have the script up. I'm just not looking at it right now. But I feel like I've done it enough times that I don't necessarily need it.
I don't use it for James Bond shows anymore. I'm just like, pretty sure I know how to go.
All right, well, welcome to Come Out to Play, a New Warriors podcast. I'm Delvin. That's Jarrod over there. If you're listening to us or watching us on YouTube, we appreciate a like and subscribe. Thank you very much for doing that in advance. We're always looking for new followers and likes and shares to help us on our way up the algorithm and whatnot. Hello already to Linkovich. Hello to Matt Passo. Hello to Heinz Cook. Hello to Jason Lady. And Jarrod there, if he would like to, the Nova to my Night Thrasher, I can tell by the look on his face that he has a question that he has thought about for days and days and days. So, Jarrod, if you got that question for me, now is your time.
I definitely do. I'm not vamping for time here, as I actually.
What's up?
I almost lost all of our banners, but I found. There we go. Now we're legit. Hey, thanks for having me on the show, Delvin. Today's comic book features. And we'll talk about it shortly on the cover. A little bit of the smoocheroo.
A little bit, yeah.
Smoocheroo. So I said my question this week's gonna be around the smoocheroo. What's the most satisfying comic book smoocheroo? I mean, I can broaden it from maybe not necessarily satisfying. It's like there's memorable. Like everybody remembers the cover where like Superman's kissing Big Barda, and it was like, what? It was scandalous. Like what?
Yeah. There's quite a few covers of Superman like lip locking with some superheroes. I know there's one. There has to be one with Lois. He's done one with Wonder Woman too. Yeah, definitely. That's a good question. I can't think of any memorable comic book smooch right off the top of my head.
Disappointed in you.
I know. Like, what? Do you have an example? And by all means, anyone in the comment thread, comment comic book smooches.
I feel most satisfied when our boy Pete and MJ, got married, and that kiss the bride moment. That's probably the happiest I've ever been for a non-existent character, like a character that exists only on paper.
I thought about that, but you know what? That happened in an annual. It was like annual 20 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
It did.
I don't know if I've ever read that.
I'm out of here then. I'll see everybody later.
I know. It's a good show, everybody. Yep, have a good day. Jarrod's off the show.
All right, I'm back.
Hey, there he is. Welcome back.
That one hit the newsstand when I was in Germany, so it had to have been like 88, 80, between 87 and 89. I'm guessing around 88. And I remember being like, oh, we got to pick this up. Like, that's landmark stuff, And then Marvel was like, we're going to take that. We're going to set it on fire. But you know what? We're not here to complain about that.
Yeah, we've already done that on a podcast or two or 10.
I was listening to us recently complain about brand new things.
Oh, yes. We have
Which
done
is not
that.
something we do a lot on the network. We don't complain a lot, but
no, but it was on the latest Longbox Crusade episode where we talked Squadron Supreme, and we somehow devolved.
There was an ad for it.
Yeah. Yes, for a brand new day. That's right. Hello to Scott O'Neill. Hello to Kathy MVP. Hello to Comic Foil. He now has, instead of a Comic Foil, he has Comic Foil channel. Just saying. It's nice to have you back, by the way, man. Thank you for coming back. Did I forget anybody? Nope, just a few comments of people saying, like Matt Postle saying, where Serpentor finally kisses Pythona will be the best one ever.
I get it.
He gets it. That's good. Okay. Linkovich says when Firestar kisses Vance before he goes to jail, sticks out, but it's not a cover. That's true.
Oh, it doesn't have to be a cover. If I said that, I was mistaken. It's kind of like one in a moment. It doesn't have to be a cover.
Yep. Jason Lady said Scott and Jean on the Mesa right before the Dark Phoenix story.
I remember that. Wasn't Angel involved in that?
Oh yeah.
Like weird.
Yeah, like he sort of laid one on. I was like,
yeah, he did. I was like, what's going on?
It's like, yeah, Warren, why don't we check to see if those wings work real quick? Oh, dang it.
Oh, no. Warren's been hit with a laser blast of mysterious origin.
It's like, quick, before he dies, Professor X, make him put in his will that he gives all the money to us. Just cutting out the middleman. We're talking about other comic books that are not the comic book that we're covering today. We actually think that's it. Like, you asked your question, we can get right into this. We can be men of agenda. So I'll go to the boilerplate. Come Out to Play is a chronicling of the 1990 series, The New Warriors. The first volume of New Warriors ran 75 issues. We're already more than halfway done, man. Jarrod and I will cover all this first volume as I rediscover my love for the series, help Jarrod find his, and share love and joy with the listening audience. Grab your skateboards, grab your bucket helmets. It's time to play, y'all. We are talking New Warriors issue 39. And the cover credits go to Larry Malsett on inks and Derek Robertson on the pencils. Jarrod, you want to do any describing on that? I'll look up the banner. I'll bring up the banner for you.
I got it already. I got it.
Oh, okay. Damn.
I'll talk about this here cover. Sure. I should have not put a banner up because we don't like to cover it when we did the, you know what I mean. All right. There we go. Now we're all set. Okay. You've got the classic 90s style Marvel Comics corner boxes. This one has dual corner boxes. Dual corner boxes, I say. Top left to top right. Top left has Rage and Speedball, and top right has Night Thrasher, Silhouette, and a Firestar. It still has that sort of trading card border to it that we picked up a couple of issues ago. Mm-hmm. The New Warriors logo is sort of an aqua blue with a pink highlight. It's very Taco Bell of the 90s, which makes me hungry. The cover background is actually bifurcated. Ooh. One side is black, one side is white.
Behave over there, Jared.
I wanted Pat to go, what the what? On the black side is Namorita. On the right side is Nova, and they are in mid-smooch. It's a passionate kiss full of biceps and beautiful flocks of hair. Back to you, Delvin.
You can do the hair thing. I can't do that. I can do the beard. Man, I love this cover. And by the way, listening audience, watching audience, you want to make comments and rate it. We're going to be doing that soon enough. There's just a quote, and I don't even remember this one, by the way, but Comic Fool says there's a kiss that happens in issue 44 that beats this one, but no spoilers. I bet I know what it is. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I do. Yeah. Let me think about it. Yeah.
I bet I could guess.
You could probably guess. Like, I mean, you're a fan of the world's greatest detective. I've had you as Batman on my Yahoo account for like ever. So like you can infer who that might be. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I love this cover. And like Matt Passo mentioned about like liking the two corner boxes, and I do too, because it makes it so unique. And then like that they involved it in on the cover of like seeing like Nova and Namorita like smooching and all of the different reactions to where Night Thrasher's kind of like, ooh. And you got Speedball doing the full on Arsenio Hall. And like it's fun. Like it's a super fun cover. It feels very teenagery at the same time for some reason. And And I also in the warning on top of the logo of the contents of this issue might be considered thought-provoking, like the cigarette warning. Just all of it, it seems so very 90s, and yet like at the same in the best way, and at the same time very original. Like, I mean, you've got Nova looking just pretty jacked on the cover too, well drawn. You've got Namorita like looking like beautiful also. There's just a lot of great things. I really, really like this cover. What about you?
Its strongest point is the dual corner boxes, which allows for the reactions. That is a lot of, well, I mean, not a lot. The strongest point is it's a great drawing. The main action is a great drawing. Yeah, main action indeed. Am I right?
Yeah.
I am not a fan of the warning label. I was like, what? What? Like you're not allowed. It's like the guy who does the O's to his own rap bars in the show thing. Like, you can't owe your own bars. Like, you how you gonna come up there and be like, y'all should read this comic book, it's really good. Like, Fabian, we know you wrote that. We know you wrote that.
But you say that. But like, I know, like you have messaged me like, dude, like I just like you messaged like, dude, look at these pages. Look at these pages. Like these pages are
not pages before.
These pages are the shh. I won't say the word, but like, and so like I kind of get it. Like, and I'm assuming that Fabian is the one responsible. I'm interrupting. Go ahead.
Just for the record, when I tell you look at these pages, I'm bragging on Mark. Okay, man, I'm bragging not on me, but on Mark. All right, because they're usually not inked when you get them. True. I mess up his work better than anybody. Anyways, what the hell were we talking about?
The cover.
Oh, that's about it for it. I really think the kiss is really well drawn. It's got like a really good energy. It may be do that split cover. And somebody in the chat said that we'd seen a cover that kind of hinted at this in the past. I can't remember who it was. I'm scrolling back, and I'm sorry.
I got it right now.
It was Scott. I remember it was Scott.
It's on the screen.
Oh, there you go. Remember the cover to 33? The answer, Scott, is no. But you could probably remind me if you would like about what was happening 6 months ago.
I'm looking it up now because I'm like, no.
Who's out there memorizing covers besides Scott?
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So on the cover of New Warriors 33, Jarrod, is the Forces of Darkness, Forces of Light.
I figured.
And the cover was bifurcated as well. And on one side of it, like you had Namorita about to punch Nova, and she was in black, like this, and Nova was in full color, and he was like,
I remember now. Okay, so it's kind of the exact opposite of that, and that's cool. So yeah, it's a good cover, and yes, our man Larry Malstead did the wonderful inking job.
Someone mentioned that, and if you can find that, I'd appreciate it. And I'll just go ahead and there you go. Bot Boy Versus said it. And Doc Strange came in. That's what I pause on. Welcome to the chat, Doc Strange. And I'm going to read a few comments because there are quite a few from people. Bot Boy Versus said, nice ink work on the cover. It's an 8 for me. And AU Kathy says it's a 9 for her. Let's see what else. Scott O'Neill says, I rate the cover either 8 suffering shads or 9 blue blazes. Those are catchphrases that both of the heroes say. Nova says blue blazes, and for whatever reason, back in the day when Namorita was created, she would say suffering shad. Why? I don't know. Like, I guess every superhero or heroine had a catchphrase back in the day. Jason Lady says, Thrash has that little smile. He's like, you go, player. Cover gets an 8 for me. And you know what? I don't think he would say it like that, Jason, but I gave it a little bit of flavor for you.
Jason, you leave Jason Lady's street credit alone.
I think he would think about saying it is like, no, I would sound too, I'm not going to use the adjective that I want to use, so I'll say nerdy, and then just wouldn't say it. You know the adjective. Jason Lady also said, great cover. Love the caption at the top. And all the teammates looking on. Speedball's reaction rings very true. Thinking back to me at that age. Comic Foil Channel says superb use of the corner boxes by Derek to highlight the other team members' reaction to Nita and Nova's kiss. I love it. And Eric Porta says it's a 9 all the way. Last is Comic Foil Channel says ranking, that's a 10 for me. I mean, it's even got a classic Nova headshot in the bottom corner. That is sweet. For if you didn't buy it out of the grocery store and got a direct edition, you could just get the Nova cover there. Auburn Elvis popped in. He gave the cover 7.5. Nope. Rejected. And Matt Passo gave it an 8. And I'll add one more comment from Scott before we rate it. It says they kind of flirted for the first time in issue 1 with the catchphrases. Haha. Also, Rich is definitely kissing up a level, hence the extra blue blaze. So, yes. Why don't I rate it first? Why not? You know how we rate things. If you've listened to the show, if you haven't, welcome. We rate things here on a scale of 1 to 10 truncheons, but most people don't know what the heck a truncheon is, so I say nightsticks. My nostalgia level has this at a 10 because it is, I think it's very well drawn. I appreciate also the very well inked. And to me, the uniqueness of the cover boxes, like that they just wanted you just to see the perspective of what every member thought about the transpired events. I think that's just adorable and it's really cool. What do you think?
That's a 4. Let's go to the chat.
Yeah.
I'll give this one. Boy, everybody's pretty much got between an 8 and a 10. Man, I think I really like the draw. I think the drawing's a solid 8. The corner boxes will take it to a 9. Not a big fan of the warning label. Maybe it's kind of one of those things you had to be there for, and it just doesn't ring as much fun now. I'll put it at a 9. I like the color work a lot too. I like the color choices for the New Warriors, the font, and the main title there. So yeah, I'll go to a 9 on this one, and that says a lot for a romance cover. Right. Usually your 9s and 10s are gonna be that hot action, and
yeah,
it's a different kind of hot action, but it's nice. It's very nice.
This is about the time for me where Derek was just cooking. Like he has between this one, because I gave last cover a 10 too, because Rage was just like diving through the window, like looking just badass and angry, and but the character itself, about how well muscled he was, his look of Rage was very perfectly encapsulated to me. And exact same things going on here, where it's more of a romance love scene, but also just very well drawn. Like Derek and Larry they're just in their bag on this one. Like he has figured out these characters, and it's been about a year or so. These characters are his now, and you can tell it. And that his comfort level has just grown exponentially with him. And to me, that's almost what the 10 represents as well.
Yeah, all right. The comic creator nerd in me has one thing that just bugs me a little bit about it, is I think they need to be moved about a quarter to half, probably a quarter inch to the left. Because the New Warriors logo does a great job of showing you, pointing to you exactly where the midpoint of the cover is, along with the black and white split. And I feel like the kiss, it feels like everything's pushed to the right just a little bit. I feel like the kiss needs to be brought back to dead center. Now, if you did it on purpose to get the as if they're trying to avoid the UPC corner box, I get it. But it's just a small picadillo for it. Just bugs me as an artist. Like the weight of the pictures is to the right, a little too far from me.
Just know that I was trying while you're talking to make up some pun with your kisses on my list, but none came to mind. And you can only imagine my level of disappointment. Auburn Elvis mentioned, like, that's not a polite kiss either. That's a baby, I'm going off the war kind of kiss. Yeah, I always I have two types of hugs. Like, one of that person that you kind of know, like you kind of like the butts away, but one of you love the person or like receive them more warmly, like I hug like a little bit more intimately. Like, yeah, this was more option 2. Like that was a caress. So in any event, we should probably move on to talk about cover credits for the issue. That's Jarrod's job.
Yeah.
Bipping and bopping over there.
Let me do that there. All right, here we go. This is New Warriors number 39. Its on sale date was July 27th of 1993. It's cover dated September of 1993, and the cover price is $1.25. The story is by Fabian Nicieza. The pencils are Derek Robertson, inks Larry Malstead, colors Joe Rosas, letters Joe Rosen. Editor is Rob Tokar. Thanks as always to Mike's Amazing World. This must mean a synopsis time.
It is, and while I read my very short synopsis, you can check out a few Kiss song comments in the in the comment section. The title of the book is Family Viewing. There's been a lot of action lately, and as is customary in teen books, we have to have a catch your breath issue. That's what this is. I could have described each of the scenes and stuff that's going on, but we're about to talk about it anyway, so why would I do that? Let's just go into it. We're talking New Warriors 39. Jarrod's about to bring up the first image from the book, and we about to start talking.
We are indeed. We start with the courtroom scene where Rage gets off the hook. He gets off in self-defense, which clearly the prosecution and the judge did not read the previous issue. He straight up murdered that guy. But we'll talk more about that later. But this sets up pretty much the last page of the book, and we'll get to that.
It does. And I read this book twice, but just seeing that split of Elvin and Rage on the other side, that's pretty awesome. That is pretty awesome. And yeah, they gave an accounting of what's going on, what happened in last issue. That's for sure. It was an accounting, and it's not like Kimiko Ashu could be around and say, y'all, he's not telling the truth. He totally broke my neck. He thought about it. Then he broke my neck because, he dead. And dead men tell no tales. So ipso facto, not guilty.
I thought this was interesting from a comic creation point of view as well, because we talked a lot last issue about the use of panel and panel border to convey emotions and moments, and they harken back to that briefly here in the flashback.
With Rage kind of his profile being in that upper panel as well as in his panel.
Yeah, and then the border of the flashback is fiery and red as the moment was happening in the previous book.
So. Very good call. Very good call.
Oh yeah, I saw the little callback in the page layout design. I'm crafty like that from time to time. All right, let's move on. I have several pages because we're, like Delvin said, we're basically just kind of checking in on everyone. So I got like everyone's check-in page, and this one might be my favorite because it's Speedball and his dad, and they've had their issues lately, and it's a real heartwarming page that things can come back together, and they're moving in the right direction. And unfortunately, it took a pretty scary moment for his father and Speedball, but that's sometimes what happens. Those big moments magnify the things that we should have done a long time ago. So I like this one.
Yeah, I agree. It was heartwarming. It was cool for Speedy, for Robbie to admit, hey, I know things are strange between us. I know I didn't necessarily help it. And I appreciate his dad being honest. Like, no, I don't like that you're a vigilante, but I admire who you are as a person. I mean, those are pretty big words from a dad to a son. And so I love how it ended too. Because heck, we're issue 39 now. So 3 years and 3 months now. Everything we basically known about Mr. Baldwin is that he's an attorney. He's definitely interested, in that line between right and wrong, but he's probably a little bit hard on his son, and he didn't necessarily get along with Madeline, his now divorced or ex-wife. So I like this little bit of development. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I like the way they're playing with the dynamic. I know we need to move on, but I wanted to drop two things in here.
Go for it.
One, it made me remember those tiny little skull caps with the little flip up bills from the 90s. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember the 45 minutes that those were popular. I remember that. I might wear one now. I don't know. But I like the way that, a lot of comics writers will sort of pigeonhole, okay, the dad is the jerk and the mom is the rock solid foundation that he needs. And I think it's much more interesting and realistic when you sort of play with that dynamic because, again, dad's not approving here, but he's learning how to fit into his son's life. And he's making efforts. And meanwhile, it's the mom who's kind of like, she got in with the crazy eco-terrorist group and like they're playing with that dynamic, which makes for a much more interesting storytelling. There are certain characters you want to almost never change, and I'm immediately thinking of J. Jonah Jameson, right? But this page is like that, those rare moments when J. Jonah Jameson actually shows he cares about Peter for just a minute. And it touches your heart so much when he does that.
Yeah. Or is honest about what he thought about Spider-Man. You remember all those months ago when he was basically like, yeah, I'm straight up jealous of this dude. He is a hero that I cannot be. Scott mentioned, I like the way they continue the broken home metaphor from issue 27. The house was literally broken by Blackball with Speedy and his dad on opposite sides. They kept the metaphor running by having them repair the home as a means of repairing the relationship.
That's clever. I didn't even put that together, no pun intended. And I made no Blackball jokes, and I'm not going to. So we'll move on.
Yeah, if you don't, then if you did, I wouldn't include you in things.
See, that was a very clean version of what. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, 2 reasons I picked this one. A, we're checking in with Fuego Star, as they call her in Spain. I have, that's the main reason. We're kind of checking on her. She's doing all right. She's doing better. Man, I don't know if Larry signed up for this crap. But they were like, let's do the whole windows through the blinds lighting thing. And it looks great. It looks so good. And I don't know. I'm hoping that was Larry's idea. I was hoping Larry was like, I could add some mood to this by adding, blinds lighting. And then, Derek was like, oh, great idea. Otherwise, Derek is a jerk. And I need someone in the chat, probably not in the chat. Delvin probably knows. I need a reminder of who the blonde lady is. Is that like stepmom, dad's girlfriend?
No, the blonde lady is Angelica's best friend, Jupiter.
Oh, I thought she was more of a mom figure. I got confused.
That's her best friend, whom she hadn't told that she was a superhero. And the only reason that gig was up was when Angelica found her dad bleeding out on his front porch. Right. And was like, I've got to get him to the hospital immediately. There's no time to drive, and flew off. So what I took from this, you took the excellent drawing. I took the excellent moment in that, like, Jupiter's like, you're my friend. I accept you. Like, I'm ecstatic to find out this cool, exciting thing about you because I had you as like normal white bread chicks in 7th grade. Like, so yeah, this is awesome. I love you and I accept you. Like, in a sense, kind of the very similar dynamic to what just happened with Robbie and his dad, just on a different relationship level.
Well, that's good that she could come down there, that Jupiter was descending to, you know what? Let's move on. I got more to do. All right. Another touching moment, another good touching moment between the two brothers, Nova and his brother, his name, I won't. Richard and
Bobby.
And this was a great one too. This was, Nova clearly feels bad. His brother got dragged into this. He's down to 90% of his digits now. And I did the math in my head, by the way. And I just love, Bobby's reaction. Like really? Like the literal, you've probably literally saved solar systems. The pinky, I'll cash it in. And I thought, what a great attitude to have. What a good brother. Another touching moment.
And like great brother moment that I'm surprised that you didn't mention, but I'm glad to pick this up. You know how it is. I mean, you are a younger brother. I am a younger brother as well. And it means something to me if my brother is proud of me for something. I'm grateful to have a good relationship with my older brother, and like just as you are with yours. And just not on Jarrod for me, please. Thank you.
Oh yeah. I was too
There,
busy picking up jokes. I was like, no, we're more like Hall and Oates. It's just a business relationship. We record podcasts, and that's
wait. Who's Hall?
Me, clearly.
Oh my God. I may have just started a family war there. Anyway, so it was cool that they kind of expressed that mutual admiration for each other, because Bob was like, dude, you have saved lives on a past planetary scale, galactical scale. And then Nova's like, well, you're going to win the Nobel Prize one day. And he's like, it's Nobel, you idiot. So like they expressed admiration for each other, and then like went back to ribbing each other. And once again, there's a theme to this whole issue. It seems to be acceptance. And it's kind of cool because not only is it acceptance within each other as the teammates, in this case, it's their family accepting that they're a part of the New Warriors and what that means for them.
And you see that courage runs in the family, at least.
True that.
Cool. And yeah, he's like, I might not know how to say Nobel Prize, but I get the chicks. Check out the cover. Check out the cover. All right. We all know why I included this page. First of all, she's on the upswing. She's feeling better. She's come more at peace with the big mistake that she made. And let's not lie, this is just a gorgeous drawing by Derek, and it's great ink work by Larry. Just a fun fact that I'll point out for those of you who want the inside scoop from a, let's say, W level comic creator. You'll notice the ink lines are almost always lighter with ladies. Thinner ink lines. It's a more feminine ink line. And it's great. You can see how he changed. Like, I was just gonna, hey, let's go back a page, like as if I couldn't, but here it is. Look how heavy, bottom left, Nova's inked. Look how heavy he's inked. Look how lightly she's inked. And then the colorist does the breaking dawn pinks and oranges of the sky just magnificently. So it's this one I really picked more for art than anything. Yeah, I get it. She's sexy and all that, but just artistically as a whole, it's fantastic.
It is fantastic. And this isn't the first time that we have given credit to the entire creative team. Like, because I can't tell you like how every comic book is made. You can tell me how a comic book is made, of course, because you created a few. But I haven't created any, but you get the feeling, sometimes you see things like this and you get the feeling that they liked each other. You get what I'm saying? Like,
yep.
Like they not only wanted to produce a great page of comic book art, but they all just cared about it in their individual ways, and they cared about it for each other, because that's a spectacular drawing by Derek, but then it's inked spectacularly, and then it's colored spectacularly, and then as far as the writing goes and the lettering, it's put in a position where none of it detracts from Nova Nita at all. Like, and I actually, when I reread this, I had the thought, I was like, did they need to do the exposition? I don't know if I like that or not. I think the answer to that question is yes. They did need to do the expositions, because you don't really need thought bubbles here. Like, yeah, explain, kind of why we're catching up with Nova Nita, what's going on, and then move on with the action. And that's what they did. So it was very, very well done.
I'll point out two more things just so people can make more fun of me in the chat, because yes, I do look at this artistically as a whole. First of all, I want everyone to realize that Larry Malstead sat there with a gosh damn ruler and did those energy lines towards the center all the way around the border. No one ever notices energy lines. They add so much energy
action,
to oppose. And that I've been that guy. I've taken that ruler and gone all the way around. And here's a trick. ladies and gentlemen, the penciler usually draws about twice as many energy lines. And you're like, no, I'll do about half. I'll do about half of those. And oh, by the way, draws an exceptionally good seagull. And there you go.
Nice. Keep those comments up, guys. I am looking at the comments. Keep them going.
Okay, I'll proceed.
Yep.
All right, so we have, in contradiction to last page, which has a bit of exposition, we have nothing here. This is a visually represented moment only. And comic creator Jarrod's going to tell you what he thinks about this one. It's great. It's powerful. It's emotional. Remember how we talked about thin and light inks for a woman? Yep. Heavy inks for a big burly guy in a sad moment. So that's extra heavy. Look no further than the unnecessarily heavy shadow, although it's symbolic, on Thrasher in the bottom right corner. Yep. I love the zoom out with the grave and the hug only in the white space on the bottom left. Once again, we're doing callbacks to last issue with the red border. It's almost like when he had his biggest moment, the border got very sketchy and red, and now it's still red. He still has this pain, but it's contained with straight lines now. It's like it's a visual representation of his anger becoming controlled. And I'm 99.9% sure I've got this right, and I'll check in with Delvin and he can talk about this awesome page. That's Speedball, right?
I believe so.
I was wondering who
it was. It had to be Speedy.
I was like, it's got to be his best friend Speedball. It's either that or Duke from G.I. Joe, and that's just over to you.
I'm starring a few comments now. Tony Pennington came into the chat. Mentioned that it was his first Tuesday in years that he doesn't have class, that he graduated last week.
Congratulations.
And he said that he picked up a MA, Master
of Arts.
Thank you. Good grief. I was like, a architecture.
It's a Nobel Prize.
He said he picked up an MA from an SCC school, but it wasn't Auburn, so who cares?
I think it's one of those new ones.
Yeah, I think it's Oklahoma. I think he got it from Oklahoma. And sincerely, Tony, congratulations, dude. That's awesome. Now about the pages that we were just talking about. Jason Lady mentions kudos to Nicieza not putting any dialogue or captions on this page. None were needed, were they?
Not at all.
Sign of excellent storytelling. Scott O'Neill says the 2-page funeral page was so powerful. You could feel rage breaking down on the previous page, and this page follows it perfectly. Like, oh my goodness. He is, like, I always say, as a big guy, I was like, no one likes to see a big guy cry. And it's like, because Lord, I think as big guys, you're kind of bred to be like big and tough and all this or whatever. But when you have to let it go, it's not necessarily the prettiest. So Rage was letting it go. And keep in mind, this is a 13-year-old boy who just lost his grandmother, or 14, either way, like horrific. Comic Foil says, love the negative space, draws the reader's eyes along, increasing the emotion, even as the images get smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And last one is Jim Meal. I don't know if we said hello to you yet, Jim. Hello. And Jim says, pictures are worth more than 1,000 words on this page. You can feel the pain and the agony.
We've had a couple people comment on how well Derek Robertson draws teeth.
Yeah.
Comic book tip of the day. When you draw teeth, less is more. Don't draw every tooth line. They start to look real goofy if you do that. Like if you look at his uppers there when he's crying out, there's not distinct lines for every tooth. They blend together. It looks so much better that way. When you do every line for every tooth, doesn't look right. Just a little comic tip for anybody out there. All right.
I have to mention just very quickly, they're talking about Speedball and Rage and how they make a good combo. And we're going to see a little bit more of that in the future. They did make a good combo. They were the two youngsters, the two youths of the team. Yes, not youths. I mean, no one, no self-respecting Southerner says youths.
Oh, it's time for more smooches. Smooches. That's right. Yes, we have Marky Mark right off of the set of his video. Come on, feel it.
Feel it.
Feel the vibrations. So this we do have Truth in Advertising on our cover, except he's not in costume here. And this was an interesting moment. I couldn't put 1,000 pages in here, but it had a good build up to it because it was basically like, yeah, I'm going to take off. It's like, all right, I'll see you later. I'll see you later. And then it just happened. It just like they both like just felt that moment, and then it just happened. And they were being very casual, and it got very interesting. And then, as it happens to me more often than not, she immediately flies away. So
had a lot of chicks fly away.
And, one or two. And Robbie's left in that last panel thinking she tastes like Captain D's.
I haven't had Captain D's in forever, and obviously Captain D's nuts. But like, I did like the build up, sort of like, of course, like she caught Nova literally with his pants down, and then she revealed her vulnerability of saying, "I gotta leave," and it was one of those moments where you could tell that, like, they have flirted with each other, they have played back and forth with each other just a little bit, and you think that that's going to last forever, and then all of a sudden she says, well, I'm going to be leaving, and he's like, well, wait, hold on, but what? And she was like, well, what? What, you want to do something? You want to do something? And he was like, yeah, I do. And then it did something, and and it's interesting. Lingovich says that last panel always makes me cringe. I'm on the complete opposite of it. I love that last panel because he was like, "Oh,
it's disbelief." It's like, wow, that just happened.
Yeah, like it can mean so many things. It finally happened. That was freaking amazing. She's really leaving. Like it's like she's gone. I don't know if I'm ever gonna see her again. So yeah, I liked that. I liked that image a lot, actually. So
I concur with you, but also clearly, Linkovich, you can interpret and feel any way you want about it, man. That's perfectly fine.
And yeah, absolutely. Of course, Linkovich. And because Scott says 39 issues of build up, kiss finally happens, and Nita's like, well, bye.
I've been there 1,000 times.
I am. This isn't a defense per se. It's simply, I'll just say, I'm okay with it. Like, because
absolutely, she's just rushed into something, and it was a huge mistake. So obviously, she's going to be gunshot.
That's fair too. That is fair too. Even if it's with someone who would be infinitely more safer and she's
a little more dependable, yeah.
Yeah, a little more dependable, and she's sober as well. So like, yes, but at the same time, like I kind of do get it. There's been a couple of comparisons to what people think Nova looks like, by the way.
I've seen that. So we've got Lorenzo Lamas, I think, showed up.
Yeah, I saw Lorenzo Lamas. I saw Dan Cortez. I saw the lead singer of Jesus Jones, and was Jesus Jones right here, right now?
Right here, right now.
Yeah. I have to look it up because I don't know what that guy looks like.
And Kathy pointed out too that the embrace and the kiss is something of a heart shape, which is pretty neat too.
Yeah. I tell you what though, like if I had had a arm like Nova, I'd go sleeveless all the time. Yeah. Bro is jacked over there. So props for Nova keeping up with his fitness.
He is. He's on that Schwarzenegger plan right there. All right. Just 2 pages left to go. It's a double check-in with Firestar, but things are looking up for her. Looks like her dad's going to pull out of it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was worth a check-in.
And it was sweet. But like the part that wasn't sweet where I'm like, at least from what I've heard, is if someone is like comatose or like in a diminished capacity such as Mr. Jones was, they can still hear you. Before Angelica's like, there's he gonna die. He's dead. I'm looking at a skeleton right now. The Batman put it back, sir. Like, sis, like, calm down. Cry outside the room. And then she had some line where she was like, you know, I could like set planets on fire. I could burn human beings, which I've done like 50 times, but off panel. But I can't save my dad. He's dead. Like, baby girl, like, calm down a little bit. Calm down. So like that was the only thing. It is cool to see that her dad pulled through, because like it, Lord knows that Family Matters storyline was dark, and so it's cool to see after such a dark storyline with a dark ending, no less, a little bit of light started to poke through. I appreciated that.
Well, we mentioned Captain D, so of course he showed up in the chat. It is the Hyper Potato. He's looking for Long John Silvers and Hush Puppies. That's our friend Kirk. So welcome, Kirk. All right, last page is interesting. So we're basically wrapping up the whole Rage Kill the Dude scenario. And what kind of, I forgot to mention this earlier, and then I'll let you kind of have the take on the last page. What I thought was really interesting, and I think it goes way back to the beginning of the book, when or it might have been right before this scene, one of the two, but essentially the judge is like, you know, we're going to remand him into our custody. And I'm like, and she's talking about the custody of Night Thrasher and Cord. And I'm like, neither one of these are incredibly good father figures for this young man. This is a recipe for disaster. Just about anyone else on the team, like, these guys have gone through some stuff. I'm just like, well, you know, I mean, I believe in him. I believe that Night Thrasher, especially since his miniseries, which we covered kind of off and on here, I think he's getting a better grip on things. That's a big responsibility, man, literally and physically, to take on Rage like that. So it's it's just I kind of laughed heavy-hearted to myself when she was like, "I'm gonna put him in your custody, you and Mr. Cord," and I'm like, okay, yikes.
Like, Judge, like, we know you didn't read last issue. Have you read any issues of the New Warriors? Do you know what Cord did to Dwayne's parents? It's like, yes, but I was brainwashed at the time. You were brainwashed? What?
It's like in the DC universe, like it's like Robin, you know, Batman. Bruce Wayne's not a good father figure. It's just, thank God Alfred's around. But like, imagine if Alfred was like, you know, the Scarecrow. Great, you know.
Right.
So yeah, it's like, it's almost like that's really what I'm getting at. Dwayne has no Alfred. He's got Cord, but man, that dude was chock full of bad decision making and lies and deceit, and now he's at a diminished capacity too. So it's like, woof. Anyway, I'll let you run on it.
No, I mean, I do see your points on that. Like, and what I will only add to it, not refute any of it, is they all have an understanding of each other. And I do think that at this point in the book that we've already seen in the miniseries that Dwayne made his peace with Cord and Silhouette. It's like, man, we are all in a big circle of hurt together. We have hurt each other. We have been hurt. Let's move forward. We will have that shared hurt as our commonality, that's honest. That's an honest relationship. And I think that that's something that Dwayne even mentioned. He's like, look, we have similar upbringings in that I've made my mistakes, but I want to put you on a different path so that you don't make the same mistakes. I can get that too. So his Rage's hurt, Elvin's hurt isn't the same as Dwayne's, and Dwayne's Silhouette and Cord, and you can add Midnight's Fire if you want to. That's an event that they put on at the Eiffel Tower every day at 12 o'clock. Like, you could put him in that circle if you wish, but like, it's a slightly different pain, but it's certainly a pain that they can relate to. So that's not something that Rage could have gotten. Let's say, if for whatever reason they put his big freak butt in a freaking adoption home.
I was like thinking if he'd been found guilty, they put him in juvie. Give me a cornbread.
Like all of it, all the cornbread. I'm still hungry. Like, so yes, like I think that ultimately it probably is a good, realistic place for him to land. You get what I'm saying?
I do. And I need to address in the chat. This is not the last page. The last page is where he drops the photos off from the Eiffel Tower. And there's people in the chat sad about it, but I'm like, you're supposed to keep your page counts. I don't think Marvel cares about the old comics, but there's copyright things if you use too many pages. I think that's more for new comics, but I already had this one at 10 pages, so I had to make some cuts. If you want to see the last page, it's very, very sweet moment of them dropping I think that's what he's pulling out of his pocket in the last panel is the pictures. His grandma always wanted to be at the Eiffel Tower, and there you go. He drops them, and it's a very sweet moment. That's going to torpedo what I was about to point out, though, because they brought back the red borders. I was just noticing here they're back to black solid borders, as if his rage is still subsiding, but the last page is back to red. So that shoots my comic sensibilities out the window.
But I don't think so. Like, because if anything, like the red border did go back on rage, but finally, instead of just being upset and angry, it was a calm red border, and he had a smile. And one of the things that he mentions on this page is like, can I still continue to bring the rage, and stay within control? But he's like, I would like to try. So I think that's, just kind of saying, yep, he still has rage. He might carry it with him, but he's made peace with it.
It's at least it's contained. It's not jaggedy edged anymore. So
right.
There's that.
And before we go on, like there was a line that I kind of smiled at with the Marita Nova part where like Nova kind of asked what she was doing there, and she was like watching X-Men cartoon.
Yeah.
Like it comes on at 11. and Nova was like, I thought you didn't like that because like we didn't have our own or something like that. I'm like,
that was funny. And now I'm chastising the people in the chat. I was using torpedo as a verb, not referring to the character. I see y'all jumping on me as usual. I hate you all, but I also love you all. So there's that.
See, right now with Jarrod, there's a red border, but
it's starting to get jagged.
just a little bit, like maybe one or two jaggeds.
It's the verb to torpedo.
All right. I think if like we're on the pages, we can continue moving on. I told you, like before we started, y'all, I'm like, man, this might be a short one. Then I was like, well, who am I kidding? We always seem to get an hour out of this. And sure enough, 52 minutes at this point. We can go ahead and move on to the next portion of the podcast.
Just looking for my banner. Okay, yeah, we're going to do Ultimate Warrior and Ultimate Warrior. This was kind of a feel-good wrap-up issue, but you may have some lingering concerns. But who are you most happy for, Delvin, as your Ultimate Warrior?
I'm happy for Rage. Like, Rage went through it, and he made it out on the other side of it. And I'm grateful and happy for anyone who can do that. I could not imagine losing my mother like in such a brutal circumstance like he did, and so for him to have done that and then did about the worst thing you can do as a human being last issue, and to make his peace with it and come to a sort of resolution, I am happy for him. What about before I go to you, Jarrod, like if anyone in the comments wants to chime in who's the Ultimate Warrior or the Ultimate Warrior, now's the time to do so. I will try and get all the comments I can. Go for it, Jarrod.
All right, my warrior is, I think it's going to be Speedballing his dad. I think that was real touching. I've had my misgivings with this book in general since Trans Sabal. It's gotten very heavy and very dark, and I understand that happens sometimes. I mean, looking back, I enjoyed Kraven's Last Hunt, and that's about as heavy and dark as Spidey's ever gotten, Mm-hmm. So, but it just feels good to get out of the darkness and into the light, which I get is now a New Warriors pun of some kind. But yeah, I really like that moment, so I'm going to give it to the good writing that Fabian did there between Speedball and his dad. Again, I really appreciate a shifting dynamic when a writer is able to do that. And I think it's nice. And I'm thanks to whoever pointed out in the chat that they're literally rebuilding their home. That's a great how I missed that metaphor.
That was Scott. Scott always has stuff like that. It's really good.
So yeah, that's my warrior, and we can go to your warrior, or you can check in on the chat, or however you want to play it, of course.
I'll go on. We got a few comments, so I'll see if a few more scroll by. I'll cheat a little bit with my warrior. I'm worried about Nova, and that's only because the next issue panel told me to be, and I'm vaguely remembering a little bit about this storyline. So I'm worried about what he has coming up. But I will mention that Nova is just more and more in this book going to become more of a central character. He's never been too far in the background. Heck, if anything, the very first page of the very first issue, Rich Rider was on it, which says something, right? It says that he is kind of an important person to this book, probably as important as Night Thrasher in his way. And that starts to take a little bit of prominence next issue. So I'm worried about him. What about you?
I'm actually worried, as I mentioned before, I'm worried about Rage. And I think things are getting better for him, but I think he needs something more stable than Dwayne and Cord. I just don't think they're the most stablest of dudes. He needs an Alfred in his life if he's going to be with this version of Bruce Wayne, you know, and I don't know if Cord's ready to be that guy. So that's what I'm worried about.
Gotcha. Let's see comments. Jason Lady says Ultimate Warrior Thrash. He's matured into a solid older brother figure. Matt Paso says Warrior Rage, finding some peace. Worrier Night Thrasher for being an adopted father and where he and Rage are presently.
Same.
Jason Lady says Warrior Nita. Where's she going? They didn't say, did they?
Under the sea, I assume.
Under the sea. I don't know the rest. Comic Foil says Warrior Speedball reconciling with his dad. Warrior Nita leaving your supportive friends to deal with stuff is never a good idea. Let's hope it's a good idea, because like old girl needs to make a good decision.
She's over for a couple now.
Yeah, Nita's been down bad for a little bit. And Auburn Elvis said worried about Firestar. Excuse me. And
yeah, it seems like her, of all the people who are kind of getting back, you know, between Speedball's dad and Nova's brother and all that, like her dad is still on the shaky ground. So yeah, there's a longer road there.
Like, and while they didn't mention it, they only just saw her, you know, in relieved exasperation that her father had come out of the coma that he was in. Like, does that mean that she needs to step away from the team because she needs to go take care of her dad? And what does that mean for the Warriors in general? Not sure yet. I mean, they just lost a powerhouse in Namorita because she stepped away, and the rest of the team doesn't know that as of yet, but surely they're about to. So be interesting to see.
Couple of neat things in the chat. Albert Elvis said something interesting, which, you know, I don't like to say that, but I agree with him. He said Rage just needs to go hang with the FF and hang out with the Thing. He'd be a good role model. I agree. I think the Thing would be a great role model for a guy like Rage, to be honest with you.
I would agree. Feeling estranged and an outcast, and as everyone knows, Ben Grimm is one of the most centered and honorable people in the Marvel universe.
He is solid as a something. Solid as a that'll
thing.
Come to me.
Solid as a thing.
And Kathy's talking dirty in the chat.
I'm just not going to pay any attention.
It's more lyrics from the song, but we'll take it out of context. Let's move on.
Let's move on to ratings. If y'all want to provide me some ratings in the chat, I'll read them. 1 to 10, where are you going to rate it? I'm at an 8 personally. It was good. It was good. It did what it needed to do. It was the necessary epilogue to a couple of heavy storylines, particularly I called it the Family Matters storyline. Scott, am I wrong? Was it not Family Matters? It was Family something, Family Values, something like Family something.
Family Dollar.
Family Dollar, the Family Dollar storyline. So like I appreciated this. It was a good palate cleanser and a good meaningful advancement with all the characters. They didn't forget anyone. They even made sure to include Vance having the phone conversation with Angelica and made it a point a couple times to be like, I love him. We love each other. We are in love. And so they mentioned him too. So very good issue. What do you think?
I was just happy to be happy again. This is a heartwarming issue. It felt good to read. I'm giving it a 9.
Cool.
You know, that's how I run these days. You get me in the warm cockles and you get a higher score. You know, old Jarrod in his 20s, you know, when he wanted everything to be by Garth Ennis and hardcore and edgy, you know, those days are behind me now. I like this kind of stuff. So I'm giving it a 9.
Okay. Got a few comments. And if I get any more, I'll read them very quickly. Matt Postle says, I give this an 8. Great points for all characters and giving us something to launch from. Very, very true. Botboy Versus gave it a 9 for himself, said it was a solid issue. And Comic Foil says it's a 9. I love when comics dig into the personal stuff and don't feel the need to throw in some action just for action's sake. Well said. Jason Lady says, great downtime issue. I think we checked in on everyone, but still, unless I missed that, no silhouette mention. Good character moments. You realize you're rooting for these guys. I give it a 9. And it's good. Like, man, you know how it is. Sometimes characters in books are just unlikable and you just don't give a damn about any of their development. Thankfully, that's not the case with the Warriors. I like all of these characters and am glad to see the continued development in the book. You don't have to scroll up here. They're saying that we should link up with some other podcasts. Somebody have to show me the name of that podcast again. It's
what
like,
now?
Yeah, they're like, we should link up with some other podcast. It's like Uncanny Xcast or something like that. Somebody will mention it again while I'm reading the boilerplate from heading the heck out of here. That's it, everybody. That's the show. Come back and join us for the next episode where we discuss New Warriors 40, where someday you will find us caught beneath the landslide with a guy called Supernova. See what I did there? Super clever. If you'd like to hear more from us, Longbox Crusade is in a lot of places. Twitter, X, Facebook, Instagram. You look for Longbox Crusade, you will find us. Apple Podcast, any of the podcatchers out there to include Spotify. If you look up Longbox Crusade, you will find us. I'm not sure if Come Out to Play has its own Spotify feed or not, but I do know that we're on the Longbox Crusade feed. Patreon, please join our Crusaders Club. I think we have 42 members and we're always looking for more. We would love to have you, and we give out a lot of cool stuff when it comes to Crusaders Club. That's really what it's for. Like partially, yes, to maybe take care of like some things like maybe buying a microphone so we can sound a little more professional and stuff, but also just to give it back to the people who just want to be along for the ride with us because we're truly appreciative. YouTube as well, mentioned at the start of the show. Please be sure to like this podcast and subscribe to either this show or anything on the Longbox Crusade feed. We give you a lot of different stuff, at least twice a week for the most part. So you won't just have a dormant feed. You can email us at contact@longboxcrusade.com. We have a phone number, 707-532-LBOX, 707-5269. 707-532-5269. There we go. Something like that. And I am now down to the part where Jarrod is going to be talking about his stuff.
Certainly, you can find me. I am on X, Facebook, and Instagram at Yard Sale Artist. You can check out my artwork at www.theyardsaleartist.com. And remind everyone who's in the chat or maybe watching this a little later on, come back and see us on Sunday at 3:30 Central. 4:30 Eastern time. We will be doing some Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles, I think. Yeah, we're talking Spidey and X-Men. So we've got that coming up this coming Sunday. You know, we usually do it second Sunday, but we had the Mother's Day month, so we always put on the third Sunday in May. So come and hang out with us again on Sunday.
And you can find me on Twitter, DEE_RAY1977, Instagram at Delvin Ray. Very, very quickly. Bot Boy Versus asks, are we going to Heroes Con in June? Heroes Con is here in Charlotte. And the funny thing is, Jarrod and Jason from the Longbox Crusade will be there. I, who live in Charlotte, will not be. Will not be at Heroes Con, but I have a super good reason, and why not? I'll mention it. My one of my great buddies here, Jake Beeman, right now is in Lackland, Joint Base, Lackland, San Antonio, in basic training. He enlisted a few months ago into the Air National Guard. And he is now at basic training, and he asked me to come down to San Antonio when he graduates to be his first salute, which is something that is pretty dang awesome. So I will be in San Antonio for that during the Heroes Con weekend, unfortunately. But you will have Brothers Albrecht, so 2 is better than none for certain.
That's right. You get the double dose of Albrecht at Heroes Con. So stop by my table and say hello. There's a good chance that you'll run into Kathy. I think Kathy's going there. She could probably tell you in the chat. But yeah, we'll see everybody, but not Delvin.
Not Delvin this year, unfortunately.
No Pat this year either.
Yeah, no Pat this year, unfortunately. And like I can speak for Pat and say I'll definitely miss you all, because I truly enjoy not only getting to see all the creators and everything that's cool, but to get to see all my friends that I have made because of this podcast. It's dope. Like in Jarrod's table usually winds up kind of being like the mecca where everybody just kind of congregates at one point, talks, and then whatever, and then they disperse, go get comic books, check this stuff out, then get back together and talk. It's an awesome time. So if you were thinking about coming to Heroes Con, please do come to Heroes Con. Come by and see Jarrod and Jason and enjoy one of the last comic book conventions that cater more to the creators more than Hollywood movie, blah, blah, blah. This still caters to the comic book creators, and it's an absolute blast. Love Heroes Con. With all that said, see y'all next time. And remember, be a hero to someone, even if it's just to yourself. New Warriors. Come out to play.
Hi, everybody. Bot Boy, come by my table and say hello. Tell me what your real name is.
Yes, please do. Like, we love not knowing real names, unless your real name is Bot Boy, in which case we don't judge. Have a good night, y'all.
Bye.